Welcome to the Visual Marketing Podcast, brought to you by CI Marketing, where we explore how to show up consistently, be more visible, and connect with the right people through your marketing. I'm your host, Liz. Today, I am super excited to introduce you to Jamie Johannes, who is based in the UK, a really long way away from me over in New Zealand. And Jamie is the founder of Inspired Martial Arts. Jamie, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, how you doing?
So good to have you on here. I think we should probably start off explaining how we know each other because obviously it's a bit of a difference in industry and difference of time zone as well. So we actually first met each other, it was a chance meeting at a baseball game of all places in San Diego in, I think it was April 2025? We were at a conference and we had not met each other before. There were a whole group of people, a friend of yours had organised for a group of us to go to the baseball game, and myself and my colleague Steph, we were sitting there chatting away, and everybody else started arriving, and everybody was like super friendly and chatty, and you were not.
Yeah, quite quiet.
You were pretty quiet. You know, the funniest thing, my first impression of you was that you didn't like me.
Which is not true. But yeah.
It turns out that you were just perhaps a little bit shy, maybe?
Yeah, I'm quite shy in first instances.
Yeah. Well, I've obviously got to know you since then. It's now been over a year since we've known each other. And so from there, over the week at the social media marketing world conference that we were attending, we got to know each other and realised we actually had a lot in common when it came to the businesses that we both run, and started chatting about all sorts of things, and then kept in touch for the whole year. And we actually caught up again in person this year when the conference was moved to Anaheim, and spent another week together with our group of Kiwi and UK contingencies. Had a great time together, and that entire year we've actually been basically accountability partners for each other in our businesses. How has that been for you?
It's been really good, just like sounding things off and just like advice, or any bits of, especially with marketing parts as well, like kind of, I'll look at this, what do you think? And it's quite good to get a different eye from somebody from a different place. It's been quite helpful.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously we have a bit of a time difference issue. I joke to some people that sometimes it takes us a week to have an entire conversation because we're roughly 12 hours apart, but we do catch up via messages and via video calls when we can make it work. So it's awesome that we could make this one work. I would love to hear about where you've come from on your martial arts journey. You started training when you were 6 years old, I believe. What did that look like for you? Tell me about your journey.
So it's just, I guess, a chance thing. I was always like really into like Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles, and I was quite, I think, a boisterous boy. Just always on the go, like you do, I guess. And then my dad's friends' kids attended a karate school, and he just said, "Oh, do you want to try this?" I was like, "Yeah," and then turned up, and then never left, I guess. I just loved it, and literally started competing in competitions from age 7, like even probably before that. And yeah, I wasn't the best in competitions. I always came second or third to start with. Until I moved to another club, got another instructor who like kind of brought out another side of like competitive streak, and then I started winning British championships, English championships, and European championships, and then I was black belt at 10. Then I started playing rugby, and then there was a hard journey after that. Like there was not much for me to do except from compete, so I went more into the rugby and just kind of flitted in everywhere and started being more out there with other sports, and then started getting a bit more into the teaching side of it when I was 16. Kind of went back, like helping at another club, and then college I did sports studies to do like child development, sports development, and then just got working into bars and live music venues and clubs. Kind of got stuck there till I was 23, and then randomly decided enough is enough, and I think I could start my own club. And there's lots of reasons why. Um, I wanted to start my own instead of join another club as well because of the culture I wanted to build.
Tell me about that culture. What's really important to you? And I'm sure that what you're doing today is pretty similar to what your goals were back then.
Yeah, so like I think it all stems, and I've been working on that recently with like a business coach and speaking to others like you, like why I do it, and it it's obviously a need to help people, but when I was a kid, especially teens or like slightly older, and as you've already said, I was shy, and I kind of struggled with self confidence and belief in certain scenarios, even though I was winning competitions and doing quite well. Outside of that, no one knew. I wouldn't tell anybody, and I was quite shy. And that's because my first instructor was very good, had lots of charisma, and then the second instructor brought out that fight inside of me, but he was very strict and very hard on this. So I think where that brought out a good fighting confidence, it harmed or changed the way I felt and the beliefs I had outside of that. Because you'd get told you're not good enough, you got to train harder, like, and sometimes in a fairly nasty way or really tough way. It's old school training, is what we would say now, like very very disciplined, very hard, and it can make you really good. I had like a six pack at 10, 11. You know, I was very strong and fit, and I'm probably still strong now just because of that kind of thing. So I get it, but is it good? Good and bad, maybe. So, but my first instructor again, like he wouldn't turn up sometimes to classes and forget the keys, or you wouldn't get your belt after you'd graded for 2 weeks because he was so laid back and relaxed. He's a great instructor, but the organisation wasn't there of the club. Um, so randomly, he turned up in the nightclub I was teaching in, and it kind of gave me the light bulb, like, oh yeah, how you doing in club? And then I was like, wait, what? I was already getting fed up, like seeing people be destructive in a nightclub scenario, and I was like, this is not really what I foresaw myself doing, especially with all my sports qualifications. I was like, I could do better, or I could do something that different to all what other martial arts schools do, or try and be different, or, try and break some of the mold, or try and do more growth and culture building. So at 23, I created the brand and really tried to build it all around a culture and self belief. Or like most martial arts are all good for that, but I kind of really wanted to like layer lots into it. Like we do life skills, we do a lot of other things to grow. We've got our own comic book series to help, so they can take it home. They can read about the stories of how to be believed. We've got other things coming soon, with other people helping with like how to take that home and help confidence. Like recently, I've just made a booklet to the parents what to say to help build the confidence. So like what I was just saying about how you say things. So now it's like a playbook of how to encourage the right way of bringing the confidence out. Like the right type of stuff. So that's how it kind of started. I started with two students in a village 15 years ago. So and now it's just growing. We've got staff, and it's getting there really well. But it's all underpinned by that culture and the brand.
That's an incredible story, and I would imagine very inspiring, especially for people who are listening who are thinking about starting a business and are just a little bit nervous about taking that step over the line. Do you have any advice to people who are thinking about starting, no matter what it is, and how they can get that confidence to just get on with it?
If you believe in something and you got that belief in yourself, then I'm a believer of just do it. Like I literally quit my job at 23, like, and just went for it. I was in a circumstance where I could do that, but it was a tough first year. But after that, it rewarded me because I just put everything into it because I believed in it and I weren't going to give it in. I've had really hard times, but I dug my heels in. I'm like, no, this is to get over the line and just push hard. And now we're really doing well because of that determination to keep going, because I believed in it and didn't just give up at the first hurdle. You've got to just keep consistent and just keep going and keep building on the little blocks. Nothing comes overnight. it's been that long journey to get to where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. So, talk me through how you started. You had two students. Today, you have how many locations?
We've got 4 full-time centres,
Yeah.
um, one franchise location which has like 4 mini locations in it, like satellite. We call them satellites, so they're in halls. So he's spread out across them, and he's got about 350 students within that part. And then we've got another franchise full-time centre, and then we have a Milton Keynes area which is satellite. We're looking to make our 5th full-time centre. So within that, we've got about 2,000 students now, and growing.
How do you get from two students to where you are today? What was that your goal to get to that? What was your plan? How did you do it?
I'm quite ambitious. I have big vision, so I always wanted to be knew I'd want something that will have legacies. Like, so it's more about um, building it for a certain reason. So I think everything has to have a purpose. Like, you can't just want to be big. It's not that I want to be big. What I want to do is be able to give people careers. Like, if somebody could have made it that easier for me, potentially I would have gone down that route if it was the right infrastructure and culture and everything sat in line with their morals. So that's why I'm trying to make our version of everything is our way. You know, I don't look at anyone else. I look at what we want to achieve and what we want to get out of it. And it's not just kids doing belts. It's a lot of stuff around that, and we're still evolving that all the time. Still trying to do different things, change the system. Like I say, there's been hard times where I've had to change a lot of things or redo it, or certain things have happened. But it's just that consistency, and I believe we've got to where we are as well because I gave people chances to come on board, like grow them people, and now they're like full-time instructors. You know, we've got 25 full-time instructors pretty much, or a few part-time, but near on most of them do pretty much full-time hours or close to. Um, and that's what they want to do as a job, not anything else. So it's nice to be able to give them people that opportunity.
Yeah, and you've actually even employed some younger people who have come through as students and become instructors. Tell me about that. I know one in particular, James, who comes along with you to the Social Media Marketing World Conference, and he is an absolute star. I've had the pleasure of spending a couple of weeks with him as well, and there are others too. So tell me about the people that you have basically nurtured through as students and they've become employees.
Yeah, so like you say, James is one of them. He's pretty much the longest serving one now for over 12 years now, I think. I've been teaching him since he was 8. He
Wow.
now does most of our social media, all of our video content, because he's got really into that. He came on at 16, did a social media apprenticeship, as well as being an instructor. So now he's a head instructor of a location, and also does all the videos and YouTubes, and becoming, as you know, like very successful doing on our YouTube channel and being on camera. And he was a shy boy, but the confidence seeing him do what he does on their videos is great to see. And then there's others like Victoria. I've been teaching her since she was 12. She's also one of my best head instructors over 10 years. And there's been a couple of other students who come through to instructors as well. We've got quite a few who have been here over 10 years now, which is also great, you know. And just those who come in, even, you know, one of my best instructors, she came in at 19 and she's now been here 10 years and she's like head of the whole teaching and curriculum, you know, and it's just nice to see that development and all of them grow.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. And you should be really proud of yourself for what you've been able to give those people. And I'm sure they do really appreciate you as well. Another really interesting thing I know about your business is that you don't just have instructors on staff, you have your own comic book artist. That's
Yeah.
pretty unusual and pretty cool. I would love to hear more about how you have developed some characters and how that all works in with everything you do.
Well, we started in 2011, and like I say, I spent a lot of time on the brand. There was a lot of emotion behind that and why we picked that as a brand and stuff. We only did children's classes to start with because we wanted to concentrate on one niche, one thing before we went. And now we obviously got big adults classes as well. But I was like, okay, we need to build that. What does it need to look like? How do we take this further? How am I going to attract more people and know and make it feel different to everything else? And I'd seen a few people use like characters and different things, but it was not right. And I was like, why did I get into it? Because I like Ninja Turtles, like Power Rangers. So, okay, how can we do something like that? And then obviously, Kung Fu Panda is quite big. So I was like, that pulls people in. So how do we translate that to us? We need our own characters. And then randomly, my dad, who's a hypnotherapist, was like, well, I've got this client who's an artist, and like, I'll put you in touch. And then we started talking, and he sent me some concepts. I was like, wow. Then we sort of started working together. He just drew me all these comics, and he was quite a shy person, really, like me, and it helped his confidence come out, like working us together, and like it just developed, and then these stories come out, and it hit the brand of like, everything was just spot on. I couldn't believe how good it came out. He did it ad hoc to start with, but over the last 2 years or whatever, he's come full time. So he helps with social media strategies as well. But he develops all more short comics. So we developed a life skills program to go along the curriculum. So every month and quarter they do life skills like habits, brush your teeth every day, you get a certificate. So they take things home as well. What does discipline really mean? It means folding up your uniform, tick it off, then you get certificates. But there's comics that go in line with that. So every month they get that comic and it teaches them why that's good and everything. So it all just interlinks. So he helps create all of that.
Yeah, wow, you've really thought that through. I love that consistency of brand that you've brought through, not just in a visual sense, but also into a practical sense of what people are doing and your students are doing too. You touched on the star of your brand. I would love to hear the story behind that.
So not many people know about the story. A few people do, because I don't talk about it much. But so it's a star, and at each point it means a word like confidence, respect, discipline, focus, success. So that's the culture we stand by. But when I first started in 2011, couldn't think of a name. I couldn't think of a logo. But my brother and my dad just got back from Vietnam at literally the same time where I was like, I've got this idea. I'm not sure where to go. I had like a list of names. I was like, no, I just don't feel right. It's too aggressive. It's too common. Every martial arts has something similar to that. Or like I'm just like, I need something different. So they'd just come back from Vietnam. But the reason they were there, they're doing a charity bike ride for Stoke Mandeville Hospital, which is a spinal unit for people who break their backs. And when my brother was 15, he fell out of a tree and broke his back and severed his spine, and potentially wasn't going to walk again. And when he went there, they're like, no, we'll be able to help him. And with his determination, he did walk again after a very long process. And then he wanted to give back, so him and my dad set up a whole thing, raised loads of money for them to give back, and he rode a bike across Vietnam. But when they come back, they bought me a red T-shirt with the Vietnam star on, but it weren't just the block star everyone thinks. It was a painted Oriental type star, which was very martial arts, and I was like, that's just amazing. I was like, that's my logo. Like, it just fits perfect. Like, so I was like, I'm having that as my logo because it connects everything for me like perfectly, and I had the points already, and I was like, oh, that just everything just fitted. And I think my mum was like, well, if that inspired you, why didn't you call it Inspired Martial Arts or something randomly like that? And I was like, oh my god, yeah, like, cheers mum. Like, so between all of that, it kind of it was inspiring, and then I was like, that's what I want to do, so it called it Inspired Martial Arts.
So it was really a family affair, wasn't it? You have everybody involved. And I mean, I know that your sister also was involved with martial arts when you guys were both kids as well.
Yeah.
And your sister's involved with the business today too.
Yeah, so 4 or 5 years ago, she got fed up with it in her role in corporate stuff, and she was, as a lot of people do. So it just made sense for her to come, and I'm not very good at organisation. she really helped with that, so especially with the money and the finances. So she really like is good with that. So it helps with budgets, and it's just like so she's now the finance director, and because she understands the business, because we did it as children together, and she was actually secret. She was actually better than me, but you know,
We won't
she
tell anybody. Nobody will know that secret. It's just
she
between you
won
and I.
everything. When I was struggling to win, she won everything. She was so competitive, so it did drive me on to be better. But
Love that.
she was I was technically good, but she was a damn good fighter. But yeah, so it just made sense because she understands everything that what needs to be in. So it kind of just works.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, you mentioned that you're not particularly good at being organized. We all have our strengths and we all have the
Yeah.
skills that we're still learning. Obviously, as you've grown, you will have had to have realized where your strengths lie. What's that journey been like for you in realizing that you actually need to maybe delegate some things to other people or employ new people in different areas?
I think to start with, it was quite hard, but I've got really good at letting others do that now, and it frees up time so I can do other things. Like I am getting better at that. Generally, I think I'm quite good at knowing people and kind of how their personalities work. I feel I'm quite good with that. I guess from teaching, it kind of goes hand in hand with that. There's I have my moments like any organization, but generally, like I think that's where the strengths are, and like I say, the weaknesses for me is the organization. But I learned when I worked in for a big nightclub chain, and where I worked for my dad first. He had live music venues and wedding venues and like hotels and stuff. And he seeing the bits where he struggled, he was always away working, but he took control of everything and started not to be able to grow to what he probably could have done of how good he was at business and stuff like. But he wouldn't let go of them of certain jobs and would try to do everything himself, even the stuff he probably wasn't good at. Where so I observed that, and he taught me like not to do that in a certain sense. But then when I went and worked for a big nightclub chain, I saw one of the managers I had, like she was so good at getting people, loads of different people to do different skills. And I started picking it up and noticing that. And I was like, okay, so I learned them skills in them places. So now I know I think I'm quite good at bringing people in and covering weaknesses for each people and strengths. So like, having like an artist in and a graphic designer instead of trying to do it myself, which a lot of people do, or whatever. And I'm quite happy to invest in it, even though it might hurt short term. Long term, I know it will be for the better. So I won't shortcut, where quite a few people I think do because they feel they have to, or they're just not willing to let go of that control. Whereas I feel like that's what I've learned the most. Just give them roles to people who are better at it, and that's especially recently, even more so. I've started taking on other people to do operations and do like other skills, and that's been quite helpful.
Yeah. What of everything that you do, say today, what's your favorite thing?
It's a good question. I'm really good at like starting something and building and just getting it done. So like I had a space in one of our big gyms, and we've just moved stuff around, and I've done all that and got it all done within a couple of days, and got that process sorted and done. So now we've got like a new area for training, a different style of different things, and it's done, and I'm good at that. Like if a new dojo needs opening, I'm good at that. Like a new task, getting it off the paper onto the real thing, and get that car driving, I'll get it. But then I'll get bored. I don't want to keep driving it. So I'll get it started and moving, then someone else can drive it. So,
Yeah.
and that's where I've learned. I find them other people to drive it so I can move on to building the next one.
And
Slightly
have you
different.
made mistakes doing things quickly sometimes as well?
Oh, yeah, loads of times.
And how do you handle that?
Fail quickly. We had tried to put a MMA gym downstairs and like have a thing, got a coach in, like did it, but it just didn't work, and it was a big failure. And I invested a bit of money in it, got it all set, like knew it weren't right, and it weren't my passion. So I was like, nah, gone, move on quickly.
Do you still teach?
At the moment, I'm teaching once a week, like a special like class, which is just like we call it Star Rise membership. So I teach that, so it's more of a premium spot of those who want to be more an elitist. So we put that kind of program together. So I teach that.
And do you enjoy still having your hand in and doing that sometimes?
Yeah, it sometimes when I'm not like feeling great, and then I go and teach that, it does feel me like it revitalizes me a lot. Like I haven't been able to teach it for like the last 2 weeks, but I know the instructor who's there can cover me really well. So it's also not a pressure for me to be there and do it. So I'm still quite free to do it. So like I think the important thing with the setup that we've got, I need to be able to go everywhere or do what I need to do. So I don't. It's nice that I'm not pinned and I can trust everybody to be able to cover any class, even if it's an elite class. Like it's not all down to me. And to be honest, most of the instructors now are getting to the point like they're better than me. I've got them to be better than me. You know, what I mean? Like so it really works. Like we all have different skills, and the way we teach is all the same but different. You know, like everyone has like some instructors have a really soft touch, some have really high energy, some are really technical. So the kids all get the same result, but from different ways of being taught. So it's nice to kind of cycle that around a bit anyway.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me as well. So we now know where you've come from and where you are today. What does the future look like for IMA and for Jamie?
I think now seeing some of the instructors that we've taken on, or giving them an opportunity and growing them, I really want to prove that this is a career that can be really good for them, and pay just as good as any other career, like a chef or um, any office job that they could get. They can get the same out of it, but while teaching something they're passionate about. Um, so that's big for me, and kind of taking the brand and the IP. We've spent a long time taking that a lot further and developing a lot of other things around that. And that's what I've decided this year is going to be a big thing for me, is just moving that forward.
And growing some new locations as well?
Yeah, I can't sit tight too much. So I was aiming to open another uh, one or two locations this year. Also, back end of this year, in the next few months, even, I am looking at franchising model and getting like instead of doing it myself, which I've been trying to do because, like I've said earlier, I've got one franchise um, and another partnership franchise, but that's shown me loads of gaps and loads of struggles, and it's been a lot of to and fro in, and we're not quite so. Instead of me trying to develop it, I'm not quite sure. It's not really my skill set. I'm not that academic. I'm a much more sporty kind of person. So I'm going to get a company in to do it all properly and help us, and then we can really scale. So that's what I kind of want to look at doing is that, and then push hard in the next couple of years at franchising and giving people opportunities in our way of doing things.
I just love your mentality, and I love how almost every single question I've asked you has come back to you giving people opportunities. It really resonates with me, and I'm sure that'll resonate with a lot of other people too. Franchising has the potential for a pretty fast and steep scale, I'm assuming. Is that going to be UK in particular, or are you also looking further afield?
I personally want it to be more international, especially with some of the stuff that I think we've developed. I think it it will suit a lot of the international markets, and I want to really explore how that can look. So I'm keen for that. I'm a real big picture person, and uh, yeah, the sky's the limit, isn't it? Really, like why think small? I can't help it. I really want to push hard with it.
I really admire you as someone who is aged under 40, who is looking at scaling their business, starting 15 years ago with two students in a village hall and now looking towards worldwide domination. That is just the most incredible thing. Does it feel a bit surreal actually when you hear those words?
Yeah, it sounds a bit scary. Like I'm very bad at looking at where I am or what I've done, and a couple of people even recently um like mention it to me, and I'm like, no, it's not really there yet. And I'm like, what? I'm like, then I think like even a few years ago, like I was like nowhere near this, and I'm like, okay, yeah, actually, I probably should look at what we've done. But I just like to. I'm a fast mover, and I think that suits me. And when I get stuck, I struggle. I need to keep moving and like developing and stuff. Um, but it is a little bit daunting and a little bit overwhelming, especially like I didn't go to the best schools from where we're from. If you get the right team around you and the right people and the right leadership, so that's no one should do anything on their own, and I think that's the biggest thing.
I agree completely. Another thing that you've done also to support your core business is actually have other business or sort of supporting income streams around it. So I know that you have some other areas, like you've brought in merchandise recently. You also have other people that hire spaces. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Our main location is 2 floors, and so upstairs is the whole dojo space, and that's got 600 members. And I took over a bit of a boxing gym downstairs. It didn't suit at the time, so rang my friend and was like, "I've got this idea." And at the time, I had a 2-year-old, and I'd seen something similar somewhere else, and I took him to like a soft play, and he just got kind of swamped by the older kids. I was like, "It's not really going helpful to take him where you have to keep manage him. It's too small for the big soft plays." So I had this crazy idea. I was like, "Oh." Around my friend, I was like, if I got rid of all the boxing stuff, could we like build like a pretend town, like a play town, like, and it's like just for under sixes? And he's like, yeah, we could do that. And he's like a rap, like vehicle rapper and signage and stuff, but he was a good friend from school. And he was like, yeah, I could do all that and help build it all and get it. I was like, okay, cool. Let me sell all the equipment. I'll get back to you. And I think that was start of January. By the end of January, I rang him. I was like, "Well, I've sold everything, and it's empty. When can you start?" And I was like, "I would like to open it before Easter." And he was like, "Oh, you're really serious?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready." And within 3 months, we'd turned it into a play town, right? All branded, all signaged, everything, like fully booked out for the first session, and like got a little under sixes play town and soft play. Because to me, it helped the idea from obviously my kids, but to me, you got from zero to six now coming to your venue just for parents to have somewhere to take their kids in a safe environment where they can let them, because it's all penned off, they can just wander around and make believe with fire engines and like police and all that, like pets and hairdressers, and then but they're sitting around all the branding and everything for martial arts as well, which is then we got classes from 3 year olds up 2.5, 3 years old. So we get so many, and it is working. So many come from that and go through. So it kind of has a whole, and martial arts is only generally open in the evenings. Now I've got a building that does day and evening. So that stops, that starts. So it's just 9 till 10 p.m., 9 a.m. till 10 p.m., just open doing something. And then somehow in the middle of that, we evolved and had a gaming lounge like Warhammer, Pokemon, and stuff. So then we have now lots of stock sales of and making money from that. So the building is just doing 2 or 3 different things, and then we rent a little bit of the space now to another style, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So they've got somewhere to train because they're struggling, and so we get a little bit of rent for that as well. So that's quite nice. So yeah.
That's absolutely incredible how you think up these ideas out of absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Where do you think that's come from? Like, is that something that's been passed down through your family or the people around you? Like, how do you come up with these ideas?
I generally don't know. Just a little bit. But probably it's a family thing. Maybe I don't know. Um, my family were all very similar, but also very different. So we all again have different strengths, which is why my sister does all the organization style stuff because she's very like straight on that. But yeah, I'm just a lot more. I'm not very creative, like drawing. I can't even write my name properly. Like, yeah, I've got the worst handwriting, and I couldn't draw a thing. Like, I can't draw a stick man. But I think I'm visually quite creative in like I can just look at something and just see it. Like, I can, and I then just struggle trying to pass that on. So I don't know. I just these things just pop into my head like probably a million times a day. Like, and I just have to cherry pick the right ones. Sometimes it can be hard. I do, which is why I brought in an operations manager and a few people. It's like a really good, I think it's one of the best strengths. I'm very good at adapting really fast and making decisions really quick and changing things really quick. But it's also one of my biggest weaknesses is I change things sometimes too quickly or without when they're not probably needed right there and then. So these people now just kind of are there to scoop that up and then quickly decide. I mean,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. And once again, yeah, just having those right people around you, and um, very brave of you also to recognize the areas that are maybe your weaknesses and actually empowering other people to be in a position to actually challenge you on things too.
I think you have to be open to that, especially as a leader, you know. And I kind of trying to get that through as the culture for all the staff. It's like everybody is accountable to everything. If there's no shoes on the mats and I walk across the mats with shoes on, then they should tell me no, and I shouldn't just because I'm the leader doesn't mean I can do it without them saying something, you know.
You just reminded me of a story you told me probably a good 6 months ago, and it's something that has always stuck with me. You told me a story about how you were at sort of standing behind one of your reception desks one time, and there was a customer there, and you actually didn't want to be known as the boss or the owner, and but somebody happened to say, thanks, boss, or something. Tell us that story because I think that's really cool.
I think I was just serving somebody, and then they were saying like, "Oh, this place is really cool," and I was like, "Yeah, I know," and then I like they were saying stuff like that, and then I was just talking to them, and they just thought I was a member of staff, and I was like, "Yeah, just I'm just here. I just." They're like, "Oh, who's the boss?" I was like, "Oh, just someone else or whatever." Like they're not here. I was like, "No, I just work here. It's just fun. It's quite a nice place to work, or whatever. Because that's just what I'm like. I don't want the attention. Um, I don't really like the limelight. Like I'm even struggling to do this, to be honest."
You're doing amazing. You're doing really well.
um, and yeah, but then someone walked past and was like, said something like, "Oh, thanks," but like I can't remember. They're like mentioned me and said boss, like because some of the staff like to call me like boss because they just think it's funny, like boss man. They call me boss man. I've got only a couple of them. They're just like, "Oh, why didn't you ask the boss man?" And I'm like, "Oh," and then the customer was just looking at me like, "Oh, you sure yours?" And I was like, yeah, yeah, like. Yeah, it's like that. Oh, she's amazing. I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah. No, I can't really struggle like taking them sort of compliments. I think.
And they were surprised that you were also working on reception. Like, I know
Oh,
that no job is too small for you. Like, if you had to go and clean the toilets or
yeah.
go and do
Oh,
whatever, you
yeah.
would do it,
I,
right?
yeah, I was cleaning toilets today. Yeah, and I was doing reception today as well. So if I'm there, I'll just do it. Stop someone waiting.
I think that actually shows. I think it's a big part of being a really successful leader is actually understanding every part of your business, whether it be buying the coffee and cleaning the toilets, or being on reception, or answering the phone, or any of the jobs. They're all equally as important, and for you to keep in touch with everything that's actually happening, I think that actually strengthens your skill set as a leader. Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the difference between a manager and a leader. Really, like you need to be able to manage, but if you can't lead by example, then I don't think people will really. get on board with it. I mean, there's sometimes where you just get in the way because like there's loads of food orders, and if I'm trying to help them, like sometimes they're like, yeah, like, let's do it.
Sometimes you just have to do things yourself, right? I get it. I totally get it. Jamie, you and I actually share the same business coach, Michael King, and we're both really lucky to have him on our teams essentially to help guide us in both of our businesses. And something that he says to us and to others as well is that you are the sum average of the 5 loudest voices in your life. And I am certainly incredibly privileged to have you as one of my 5 loudest voices in my life. So I just want to thank you so much for everything you do for me as well. And I hope that everybody listening today has got plenty out of listening to Jamie and his journey and everything that he has done until today and everything he's heading towards as well. And if anybody has any questions for Jamie or wants to get in touch and ask him for advice, I'm sure you would be willing to have conversations. I know you're such a giver. How do people find you? What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
I don't go on LinkedIn very often, but I'm planning to be a little bit more on LinkedIn. I think that's one of my tasks to kind of get better. As you mentioned about having the same coach, I think one of the things is kind of doing that more personal side of things, which is what I struggle with. Like, so
why don't we put it out there
task
today? Jamie is going to get his LinkedIn sorted out. So if you want to have a conversation with Jamie, find him on LinkedIn and that will force him to get that sorted.
Perfect. Yeah.
I love it. Hey, Jamie, thank you so much for your time. It has been such a pleasure, as always, to talk to you and share your story with everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for joining the Visual Marketing Podcast, brought to you by CI Marketing. I'm your host, Liz, and I can't wait to share more episodes with you.